야, 다 간사상 랑심에 봐 두바다 때 디오들 죽이다며 되는 법을 써야 돼. 다들 용거. 다 간사 랑심에 봐 되는 법 우멜 타와다 시부진 내 전부 자리어래. 디 시부 세부시 하고 올라 바기 senzambe chideme be tawade on faje vai samutana pechalo yanne to samutan di zundu to samutana de di sungdo usum singin jinol umawatan senzambe tawaniga samudu stavaina dini be singini dos khapje jindebaina kon dakavaniona be 달리 이가는 두고 와. 때마다 싱기나 양 잡는 다기 코인가 레요 인상 싱기니 두스데나 베 자주니 너두고 말스 송도와. 인디가라 센잠베 바게 치는 거 베리 치는 베 따와데 따와 오네야 디차디오레 내 전부 차디오레 어때 인디가라 이제 냠도 삼당 어떻게 내민부진 사레스 어디시라 하고 오면도 돼 경고는 보시다 어떻게 기브진 아버님 때주배 뭐저기 개겐도 양내도 돼내 첨부에서 송도
to have a proper understanding of this selflessness of person from Kishasing, his teacher, like His Holiness, and two of his teacher, they advised about understanding not only philosophy of middle way school, but also philosophy of mind-only school, and within the mind-only school, the concept of lack of external existence of phenomena. Lack of external existence of phenomena, and that is important, helpful, to understand this selflessness of person, and we find this metaphor of philosophy of middle way school and mind-only school as a two kind of cross line facing to each another in order to protect the area. So that way they can protect all other philosophical ideas or concept. And so therefore it's important to kind of, if you are interested in understanding sort of at the highest level, it's important to understand not only middle way school's philosophy but also philosophy of mind-only school.
간체 선점을 타와야 오지 바게 학과이나 치드메베 메산스도 야보시 학과이나 란심메베 타왕에 발라 펜도 연구하서 대인자 우셈 생기지 노세야 된데 베 게스마도 펜도 누구야서 디지 그 자니지 순구였어래 쓰러와 니바 네베 선점베 타와테당 에니베 직nga 냠린 tapé lay nazar ngam slenya ke tendegi jagar ki ngune tolden tendegi nyamlen nangi ore ota tendi ke chene ji sungu ya sar kanje di sunya la ko ba mango ya sar es kendo tan ko ba mango ya sar es
and there are many reasons why it is important to study kind of combination of these two philosophy of mind-only school and middle way school. Understanding how phenomena or things lack external existence, according to mind-only school, can be immense beneficial in understanding how things lack existence of intrinsic or lack of intrinsic existence or inherent existence, and there are many great Indian practitioners, especially Vajrayana or tantric practitioners, who uses their practices based on or related with the mind-only school. So there are many kind of different it looks like different reasons why it is important to have a proper understanding of these two philosophies.
밖에 용로를 싫어 장보장인데 때도 나라 우체 생긴지 나라 순고하래 우마벨 따왔다 발라 세미 리람 근저에데 고고에다 우체 생긴지 놀서데 대제 순도와 순긴 열에 순긴 열에 웃음 생긴지 놀서야 돼 따와니까 니가 냠도 오바제야 우체 생긴지 놀서가 냠 밖에 윤 우마벨 따왔지만 지신지 리벤 드니 네발라 세메 리벤 드디 쉬우지 내 친구 자고 그래 대인자 우세 생긴지 놀서야 요래
We also find this same kind of metaphor, two lines facing towards each another. Not only in this two philosophical school, but also middle way school and middle way school's philosophy and studies of logic. Pramana. So understanding of these two also serve as, in order to maintain and, maintain your philosophical kind of point of view. These two are something that is inevitably needed.
다 경고름 제대상 세미릭 바데 다 남자게 세마릭 바데 슈시 디상이나 고고 첨벌에 내 전부 정승도 인도가 세마릭 바세인데 오늘 미 남제 동역이 자식분들 랍첨부지다 시부차디어래 러번 치기 잡아 초랑 초라기 세면들이 시부르스데 무티버티 속에 빼 ngashi chukdu se kyamgurum sungdo ngaso da luni bage muthi bala kha de nyamdo kaji chegi luni bage dangaya yo mar de kyamgurum je te muthi pe ne pe penji da tende nyamdo kamena to gala de zoge pe cholang choda pebe jula muthi pe semen de shibu yargen dore da nanden ribe seme tujete da khoso killing mara ribe drede da killing gora te 무티볼 시우지 펜르스 숨도와 딘디갈라타 칼레칼레 마랑조딜라 세메르 파트 귤데 레브게 딘디 귤네 레브게 바게 자마샤체 가서 툭툭지 세멘드들라 섬타 땅고야게 네지 레브게 어레스 로아테이나 로야 필거라 간지 남체 필거라
Studies of logic in Buddhism, Samarikpa, is something really beneficial, for somebody who is studying a Buddhist philosophy, as His Holiness often says, especially the studies of logic and the texts composed by great Indian masters such as Dharmakirti and his disciple Deknath. When you look back into the history, as His Holiness says, not only these studies of logic are helpful in understanding better, more clearly about reality of how things exist, but it also becomes immense kind of beneficial for a non-Buddhist school of thoughts, because when you look back into the history, you can see intense philosophical debate between Buddhist scholars and non-Buddhist, and the technique or the method that they use this the logic study, and although they don't believe the concepts of Buddhism, but they really kind of appreciate Buddhist approach and method of logical kind of debate, and it help kind of non-Buddhist schools, their development of philosophy, and later probably you will get those translations of Buddhist logic text here, and then it would be helpful for you all to kind of study and read those books.
어쨌든 이거라 나는 균도 답 배자 요 이양내도 삼다 아니 즉 나는 좀 낭줄데 라 간디스 난게도 나는 나진 누구 민도 리벤데 쉐로 마시는 더 가로 지 나가내지 예매지 도다 제바제 투비나 디기데 간삼지 낭술 짐바티 간직 안아줘 간디지 나와이나 유롱원의 소득이 낭술지 내용 거래 대 낭술도 시고야 돼 시부지 깨치 못다 인구 뭐 맞아 낭술도 시바이나 이 투비나 디니 낭술 다도 마주와지 파저 두상지 삼당고 거라 도시 삼다웨이나 딘딘 지삼지 슈 충루 차지리 미 남제 체루 미 로이 양파 아니 직 셈나 지뎀 바페 영하지 게지게다 뭐 영하 차디 거래서 겸그럼 지대 송도 딘디가라 간지 겸그럼 지다 로니동 두개고네 좀 된디 송야데 뭐마데 말한 중이네 대기 공도 주주들아 란친진다 렘버zembe 젠진디 니기 맞죠 코로나 콜주고 아래 맞죠 녀몽끼리 동알 댕기 아래 동알데 메가서 할라 띵이기 라 님부지 때 마투이나 뒤 남향 시두야요 말 같이 짐바띵이 개투야라 탑람만 배고야 돼 10년 내 전부 차대요 그래서 배절로는 망부준 거서다 자신 digminde
Yes, so you're saying that we will leave this section for next class and we'll stop after this and you can ask questions. So what is important here is generally kind of whether you have some understanding of Buddhist logic approach or not. Just kind of reflect on as we have been saying many times before, way things appears to our mind, the mode of appearance, that things exist independently, objectively, inherently, intrinsically out there, as if it has nothing to do with other things, independently existing, and then really understanding that, and then kind of destroying that kind of wrong perception. And once you destroy that mode of appearance, understood that the things appear to you, and that mode of appearance is something that is not valid, not reasonable, then you need to think about then how does thing exist in reality. That will kind of help you to understand actual mode of existence of phenomena, and that kind of understanding will be immense helpful in kind of reducing this grasping to this true existence of things, and it will further kind of help you to kind of open your intelligence, and emotionally kind of bringing more stability of the mind, more calmness, more happiness, more, as His Holiness says. And so Buddha's teaching that he gave before more than 2,600 years old, he talks about primarily these two kind of concept or grasping. First one is this self-cherishing thought. Second is grasping to truth grasping, and these two are the main or primary sources of all of our suffering. And because of these two distorted view, wrong view, fallacies, we remain in the cycle of rebirth, in the cyclic existence. And so what is needed here is trying our best to adopt some kind of antidote against these two, and engaging in the method or practices. You can ask questions if you have. Yeah.
I started to ask a question, clarification on a question. Great. But he asked me to ask you to translate this. The definition of a valid perception is a fresh and unerring awareness. So my question is concerning memory and imagination. Would the reason why those two are not considered tema or valid perceptions is that because, in the short answer, that valid perceptions are dealing with external sense faculties?
What is the Tibetan word for imagination you have?
I have no idea. Haven't been able to.
The ngusum gidilo, the ngusum sema de koran tsenyi do shlo so inji tone. And then on that in signi lo the temba da any namjung the temba da pejin tokwala lagme na. Dini any tseme na on sham do kharchin sha go mare lo.
템바
Temba la ore, the temba la ore.
템마 시디갈라 율 sarto to bajgo ore 템바 ina 율 sarto imbi chabayo marwa 템바 sindi jidu majbe pe sang sipagi 직 가르스고래 그뒤나 랍쳐줘 연대긴지 용해야 돼 잼비치기 어려워 그 율sar도 율sar도 또 와야 믿어 세마싱인데 배 율sar도 또 버지고 와 아니 문수미나 그지니 받아서 제시를 맞아 텔레 세마싱이 와 말이 문 가르티 남들 지지어다 당하는 남들 가르기는 쟁민도 마다 무슨도 지수 뽑았다게 깨지만 당분 세마인라 누바다 대화 탐이데 깨지면 이번에 세마인 바 빵바오세 수도가라 깨지니바 이제 고 바기 문수민루 문수 깨지니바 답에 가래나 되기데 아니 배 세마 말이 지시를 했어 순거래 어떻게 되니가라 율 sarto 그 취지라 아니 세마 sarto 밀리브르 봐 랑기 자지 율때 sarto 버지고 와
So here is Tibetan word tema. The definition, the meaning of the tema is, maybe look at the two kind of characteristic or component. The first one is it has to be always sar, means,
Always what?
always new, fresh, the Tibetan word is sar, something new, something, first time, and then second component, second part is non-false, because that's, it's a valid. So with that understanding, when we say word tema has to be, when you cognize something, it has to be first time kind of, cognizing. And so when you talk about memory, memory is something that you already saw or have seen before, so it doesn't become something for the first time, perceiving or comprehension. And even for the, if you use that Tibetan word, ngusum sema, the first moment is always sema, and then from second moment it's not called sema, even if it is ngusum, manifested kind of phenomena. From second moment it's called cheshe, if you know that word. It's a subsequent, cognition.
딜디가라 문숨 세마 수디가라 똑바다지 냥한테는 쳔nem비게네 똑바다지 사도 밀리비라 바사기도 토탈 세미팅이다 사도 밀리비라 바 문숨 세미팅이라 똑바다지 사도 밀리비라 바사리 샤용 거레스 아니 템바싱인데 딱고 사도 인고야 게미도 알아서 그 뒤에 랍쳐줘야 돼 템바 템보이나 용거를 템바 템보메나 이 용거 말하고 같이 하기도 템비팅이나 가리는 지에 가셔서
This word ngusum sema, if you use ngusum sema has a being a tema, it also has a definition of sardumiloa, the Tibetan word that we used before, and it also has to be something that is non-conceptual, non-conceptual. Than sardumiloa, so when we talk about the memory, I don't know whether when you say memory you are using Tibetan word tempa. So if it's if you're using word tempa, the memory, when somebody asks you about something, when you tell from memory, what it means is that you already know something that you are saying it again. So it means you have already known that thing, whatever before. So it is not the tema.
Well, the answer you're giving for memory, that's not too difficult for me.
Mm-hmm.
What's really hard is finding I can't find the correct Tibetan word, but we can say that I cannot have a valid perception concerning the horns of a rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
But I can imagine horns on a rabbit. It's not that difficult to visualize in my head what it would look like.
Mm-hmm.
And Hollywood has made, billions and trillions of dollars off of imagination. To Someone might not have actually seen anyone cut up by a chainsaw, but they had an imagination that made that. So how does that fit in with Sema? What is, or as a valid perception? Somehow that is new.
세면 나올 디컨데 수그리로도 더고란 배셔야 되죠. 배셔스는 다데 레본라레로 중요수 요마르데다 이네게 다직 로니에 나오직 다만도 수연이 맹에는 서도 수연이 디치고로 디수연은 수연다 미 나올 미기 삼르 나올 응요수 딘데지기 심제 에너지 잘라 에너지 딘데 통 요마르데 이네 삼르 나올 딘데 요레 삼메지 다직 똑바 차례로 쇼로 야므나 심 나올 지기 차례로 딘데 차례들아니 다 칼로르 다 세메기 세메톤에 삼단으로 세메톤에다
세마세요만 다 시베고니 용거라 세마스인데 율서든 잘벨로지라 고고가레스.
So we're just saying when you use word sema has to be something related with comprehension. I don't know if that is the right word for the first time.
슝해진지 차다고 율서든 잘벨로지라 세마스기오로 마다 시바 유zel란 제기고 말다 또반 담이래요. 또벤나라 그 또바 처줄나라 율레 여바요래 매바요래 다 담이래요.
So Tsema on the one hand and Tokpa on the other hand. Tokpa here I'm using that word for conceptual, things. And when we talk about conceptual things, then they are conceptual things when something that you imagine that could be real, that could not be real, it could be anything. So it doesn't he's saying that Tsema is Tsema that
Dealing with outer objects?
imagination. 제마다 다들 컨다 코란라에 대 세미나 똑바 차례셔로 이 바라 가르트 대화 가르리는 비시고
디데
가가래라고요.
디레 세마스디가라 율 답에
율다 하고 있었어. 디다
머투가 또 내긴지라 세마스기오라 똑발라 담이다요래 고율 여바요래 매바요래 또 배쳐들은 담이다요래.
When he says tema, it means none distorted. When you use word tema to perceive or comprehend something, it means you understood what is out there, valid through, But that doesn't apply with imagination, because imagination, it can be anything. It doesn't. When you say imagination, it doesn't has to be something existing, let alone whether it is real or not. And it could be something existing. It's something doesn't totally made up from your mind or but what is your question? I'm not getting your question. I'm not getting his answer. So sardu milovarik pa.
Like killing someone with a chainsaw. You didn't have to see it, but you had imagination. How does, obviously it's not a valid perception, but how does that relate to valid perception? How does it relate to perception in general?
다고랑 뒤와 되셔. 다간다 똑바지 응여수 유일의 응여수 맹에들의 요로. 똑바에 수여셔야 되는데 남도 수여셔야 된소. 아니 가시에 데미 가시를 뱉고 남도 수여야 된소. 니마 요 말데 아니 지기 다지기 남도 수에 미션 바지 수에 다딩 스페트 거론에 사와도 지금 요와도 지금 다콘다 거란 저와디 된데기 남도 그쪽에서 되다 세메 바를 제와 가려를
되다 여대에서와
제와 가려서 등이 바를
다 남도 그 주샤교다 세메 버든 대화 세대 세마단 대화 세마신디 율 머트로 또 빌로지라 시고하래 남도 주시라 투체 망보하래 배나 나란주 낭윤두가라 율 코라 파기니 유kel은 맞아 수두지 난기도 와. 디 낭줄데 세마 말해. 로친지 로차래. 율산도 머죽근질라 애니 가서지 난기와래. 세마슬리 코나 배나 원본 잘베 미시선이지나 미시 세마 다 또발 마자지 또메 왕실이 잘지 시나 원본 잘베 미시 깨지 땅포테 답 sardo chadiyore, nipanita cheshi chadiyore. Kupe yulde matuwa jin jalgorwa, kuna yulni karen nanga na jin jalgorwa.
그건 저도 언들이거든. 세마다 똑배 주식이 니발 제와 하려를.
대든 내가
세마-
거는 내가
세마-
빼게 도비주 셰들라 출시 잡으는데 내가 거는 테마 거는 삼단에 엄마라 봐.
그런 세마 전다다 하고서 가려고 살도
어디 들고 지드만 출래리 지드 출시를 저번 대화 두고 있어.
So you're saying that in that case, the one that you said something imagination that is distorted, that is not fact. For Tsema, Sardu Milu requirements that whatever it perceive or comprehend, it has to be there in real sense. But in imagination, it doesn't exist in reality. So you are talking something totally two different things.
That's what I want to know. What's the other thing?
What's the other thing?
If it's not a sema, what is that part?
Then he said it's
답
created by misconceptual thought or created by just by your thought. We use word namtok, it's created by your namtok. It doesn't have
Namto?
yeah, namto, created by namto. So it means something you created by your mind, your thought. It doesn't has to be exist in reality.
리망보 연구를 들어와. 제시롱 연구하래. 제마마 인간에 또발라 제시 연구래. 로시 연구래. 이제 연구래. 나는 망해봐 연구래. 망보 연구래. 시바드네 망보 연구래.
And there are many, if I use Tibetan word Sherpa, there are many Sherpa which are not Tsema, subsequent like awareness or awareness like awareness that you have seen, but it's not, Nalamangewa and Tokju. There are many other awareness that doesn't. When we say awareness, it doesn't necessarily has to be always Tsema. There are many other non-Tsema awareness. Yeah, it is.
I'm reading in this book, towards the back, it's talking about types of objects of observation, and then it says something about a Buddha's nature body as an object of observation. I'm just wondering what that is.
Buddha nature's body. The lagosere, the Quran, the Puri Shine or Pomdilo, the now the kind of gum gimmick, but the load. The digital Buddha nature's body and pitching the lagosere.
ran신내리대나.
Rangshingi, Rangshineri Lamendo,
ran신내리잖아.
Buddha nature. I'm sorry,
Nature body. Buddha's nature body
nature body. Rangshineri inside pitching.
as an object of observation and meditation.
So gom jadi jambar shine mi bola sanje gi ya rangshineri lan ta rangshineri nda mi bola nti khash kandena.
다디 디 인기레스로와. 차족이 냠nen적인데 이게 너명 공부들이 말하는 심 ranjin osawate simgi ranjinde pe ishichugu tapagar garsorda ranjingi ne pe semfing ngande kinji tende killing gores tende gombaji gore wata di gombaji je yondegala ngana zu susu hye yulayang sem chugu ene ishi chugu ranjin ene karsore sembi yende baji yoser sungware semgi ranji osawa karsa te mare dindiji yoser sungware sembi yende gen ishi chugu ranji su yoser sungware tati
Kareli yordan.
ngaranzu susu higula 이시추구 란치수 여서 순고래 디 더만에 배 유견지 좀 많이 봐 땅봉이니 배 더만이 여서 순고래 왔다 딘디 기 미팔 자야 되ங்களா 셈 셈기 가르소래 딜라 카라라도 간지 자전도 조친 킬링 공부적인 강갈로네 디 킬링 거래 간지 수수기 유라네 배 바카 Sefi gembe gu ranchi suyo wachi killing ko.
Rangshin namda lambe.
Ranchi namta ta ranchi namta gulubi chanishina ranchi namta sonde chire. Ranchi namta rangre. Tenda we the mena ani mena ani be kun lubru diva sel yondu gala ani be pagi 구수 두야 매버지 차거래 다 맞아이나 라신 남다 소리 차거래.
So you're saying that probably it refers to in especially in the practice of Vajrayana, great perfection and great completion stage. There is a understanding of mind of ordinary sentient beings or consciousness. Innately, view as that quality of the mind, innately pure, illuminatory, as that word Buddha nature body. They use that word to, and they interpret that kind of quality of the Buddha is innately with our mind itself, innately pure, enlightened. And sometimes in meditation, it talks about using that as the object of observation.
아니 님의 중대랑 가유 중대는 되면 공부를 생각도 왔더라. 되면 공부. 되만이 아니 배 상기랑 지수 인데긴지 인자 되면 공부를.
In the tradition of Kagyu and Nyingma, they also use word innate protector, which refers to innately kind of naturally kind of enlightened mind or innately pure. Laura, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. Back in the sort of beginning of the teaching today, he was talking about relative or method and wisdom, basically. In the ordinary mind, it's impossible to have both generated at the same moment. And then he said something about, for example, saying the six-syllable mantra. So I have a question about practice. Does that mean that somehow we should try to meditate on emptiness and then the method of reciting the mantra and basically using our conceptual mind to try to understand emptiness, which of course it's not really I guess I just have a question, like how would he recommend we do that, how to practice with those two steps, I guess.
Tangi dingel gashla ta tapshi songre de korse da kyo tame we jule en loni ga chikja de ketong mare len songro sa en dit na bedoshan da tongni ge do du yani semje chanju sem songo da yamna semje nyamne chi tongni ge longwe de dang si sembe kon ra sta di yani di nyamne chi du jambal di nyamne chi dan ro khande che ore lo du da tapshi songre de chi dan de korse
어떻게 네 공단은 부제 회제요. 그래서 버진이 채나라요. 버진 채는데 되나라. 아마지 마치를 부지 부디 정도도 갈라. 냥은 슈 슈지운 거로 갑도돼 냥은. 아니 제자의 갑도다 냥한테 빨리냐 거라. 수지기라 냥은 로원규기를 제기 도용에 로등원 규지를 용해요 말에. 이나야 냥한테 빨라냐알디 어데 되게 물라 냥한테 슈슈보 로여 인자 제디 냥한기 짐베 제인 시거래 어때나 진짜네 나랑서 담보 니지 양니 장주기 셈미나미야 우지 살데 셈나 가서 토토지 디살 때문에 띵 주토텔라 아니베 마라징기 메바르지 섬다야니 ngairwa ranjingi meba te tendi sande yane pumba ranjingi meba tendi chi ranjingi tu madu tola samu taba ina kache ti tegi ranjingi madu be samu taba te tongi le chepa chepe ndrede janju ki semgi zimbe ne tongi le chepa chepa chi chago ware tendi kala kache tendi ngane ni mani jindo mena 탑싱 이렇게 짐비 답에 냠는 차거레스 왔다 또 단다 두스레 이닐로야 토루 나던데 이거라 배 냠식 오지도 로야다 데니 용거로 와 어디 나게 제발 나답에 얌배 텔레 자파 숭거라 나데 시게메 왔다 두스레스 아니 상기기사는 냠지 오지도 누구하래 냠버샤 짐베고네 아니 배 군소배 나왔지도 그 군소배 나왔지 짐베고네 냠버샤 두고 하래 뒤인두가라 what दूसरे
In the the note of the it's a note by Pongdan, which he used this example. I think maybe you've heard this before. A mother having mother who has only one child, and then child passing away, and when she is having a meal, that meal is considered as a meal taken with sadness. So her sadness is there, but not at the level of manifested. It's kind of at I don't know, subconscious level. There's a sadness there, but she's having a meal. So that example, when you apply to practice, it doesn't matter whether you start with the method or you start with the wisdom. If you start with the method, and if you want to do a meditation or practice of emptiness, you can start with generating a strong intention of compassion or loving kindness. Those become a method. And with that kind of, without disappearing that thought, and when you engage in the investigation of how, I or mine or ways, whatever things, lack of intrinsic nature, if you contemplate on that, that becomes a combination of method and wisdom. And you can start from, generating a strong sense of wisdom, lack of inherent existence, and without disappearing that thought completely, then engaging in compassion and love. And with those two, then whatever practice that you do, including reciting, six-syllable mantra, mani, that becomes a practice combination of both method and wisdom.
But you're really, it's an analytical contemplation of wisdom. It's not really experiencing this.
So second part, he said that here, experiencing both at the same time, engaging in, say, the ultimate phenomena of things, that's ultimate truth on one hand, and understanding of how things exist merely at the level of appearance, conventional truth. Engaging in the both knowledge at the same time happens only to the mind of enlightened being, not at our stage. And although what we said before is the way that we consider combining together, although it is not a combination in a real sense, only during somebody who is enlightened at that stage, then they can experience, while in a totally meditative equipoise, they can have, although they're in a meditation, but they can actively at the same time investigating, the understanding of ultimate truth happen at the same time, not at our level. So what was your question?
दूसरे सरवा लम्बे
The moran chua the tindegi tangi nyam tab the sherab nyam the dechu zamala ne sherab gi de ta kalore
tab gizimbe sherab gizimbe tab
sherab de daji ge ngazu chepa cheshimba de da kanda pala nya ro mo de jewang su chigo maro alo
다 전주기 셈라 디치디가라 가르소 삼탄이디가라 동이토베 바기 셰럽 기차데 로데 또수 코 가르소래 맞아 코란 송이 또베 셰럽당 맞아 여여 말와 간제 또베 셰럽다 간제 이 저그 로데 또수 냠르고 와래 간제 맞아 유라 냠시 ngo지도 로에기 디 차긴디 전에 이거 말해 이제는 뭐 최제된 냠자들도 두스 냠자지 두스전에 최제기 차견적이도 이 가르치는 거 알아서 들어가라 냠시 ngo지도 제바도 충고 알아 냠버자지 메고네 군소비 자와자 최제되기 냠버 아니 최제 두스지들가라 최체진도 냠버자지 두고야 세대다이 냠지 ngo지도 충고했어도 취재된 냠자니까 두스대가 당가랑 저기라 통이도 발타와다 요 말지 단다 주마서 두스 samlu taba yinna 지 딘다베 삼루띠기 투기 아니 탑시 순델지 같이 냠린지라 손두고 알아서 숨두스.
Although we don't have actual understanding of emptiness, we don't have that wisdom, but when we are actively engaged in the practice of like altruism, that maybe we can say fake or artificial or imitation of that wisdom, it is kind of at the sub level, not at the manifested level, and that's how at the level of our kind of ordinary practices we try to combine those. It is, you can say, it's kind of fake or artificial, not real sense. But he was using an example of Lama Tsongkhapa. When you look at his image, his gesture, hand gesture, represents, left hand, in the meditative posture, that represents, kind of meditative posture, and right hand teaching gesture. And his image represents kind of both happening at the same time. In deep meditation, at the same moment, able to teach. That represents a combination of both, and wisdom kind of actively
양
working together.
춘들지가 최제되게 주구성이야. 냠자되게 주구성이야. 대 이슈 냠자되게 이슈 주구성이야. 최제되게 주구성이야. 대시 송도와.
The another interpretation is, right hand representing a form body of Buddha, and then left hand representing Sugata Chugulembe.
주구도 주구.
Right hand form body of Buddha, and left hand representing truth body of Buddha.
아니 남들 나라 동인 지절 또 빠매라 거래. 나라도 미 수수케규라 또바니 뛰지도 개된 싸니니가 말해. 간지 동인 또 별로대당 전주기 쌤니 또바만다 니 찾들어.
In the valid cognition, commentary text, it talks about non-existence of these two, consciousness at the same time. Two consciousness being one understanding of emptiness actively functioning, and actively functioning of altruistic mind. These two cannot coexist at the same moment in the mind of ordinary practitioner.
가리라웨 코르웨 진감세 펜단데와 말린 중에네 땡규르진 잠벌바웨 지그르겐 바당 게완디다 삼제라도 주숨체베 갸와 삼제기 모강로 조도와 바데 다신게웨 조와데게 in the land encircled by snow-white mountains, the source of all happiness and benefits flows near person, generously tens and yards remained until samsara ends, just as the Bodhisattva Manjushri attained omniscience and summoned the Vata too. So now I do dedicate these merits to train and follow in their footsteps, as all the victorious Buddhas of past, present, and future praise dedication to the Supreme. So now I do dedicate these my merit for all beings to correct productions. Thank you.